like a generational legacy. I'm constantly thinking about my grandkids and great grandkids that I don't have. I'm like, we're changing things. We're doing life differently. We created systems and structures and routines to include our family. Like we've been doing family workouts since we adopted our first. We've been speaking different languages, taking them out to serve in developing countries and taking them to some of the richest places on the planet. There's rich and poor and in between, and the coolest places and the worst places, and people who are suffering and people who are happy. We're just taking them everywhere. And we're practicing what we preach and having our kids there with us in every part of it, even in our business.
Let's impact some today. I think we're gonna do a great job. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Man Podcast, where we connect men in pursuit of their potential. I encourage you to join us as we embrace discomfort, cultivate community, and put wind in each other's sails. Now, before we jump into the episode, I first want to encourage you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this podcast if you get value from it with somebody else that you know will get value from it as well. And to the men that are listening or watching, I encourage you to check out the Noble Knights Men's Community, where you can find the support, the accountability, and the mentorship you need to achieve your goals. Join us and become a part of a community of like-minded men on a mission to improve themselves and elevate their capacity for life. And I'm so excited to get some wind in our sails today from my guest, who is a high-performance coach, international speaker, husband, and father of 7, who's redefining what it means to be a leader, father, and a modern man. Joining us here out of Portugal, it is a pleasure to have Greg Denning on the episode. Greg, thanks for jumping on, brother.
Thanks, man. I'm so excited to be here and love what you're doing. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for caring about men and families. This is awesome.
Oh, man, it's fantastic. And I'm just following in your lead, brother. And I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to speak to the audience directly, a little bit about who you are, where you're from, a little bit of your background. We could jump in to the conversation afterwards and really get into the nitty gritty. But please, Greg, the show is yours for a second.
Yeah, I love it. So my story actually starts with some failures and some desperation. So my parents divorced when I was young, and stepdads came and went, several of them, and I ended up just leaving home at 16. I was like, man, I'm out, and this is, I don't want to stick around for this. I'm going to try to figure out life. Little did I know how hard it was going to be. It was absolutely brutal as a teenager, trying to figure out life, trying to figure out money, relationships. I was shy, I was timid, I was broke, I was broken, I was insecure, and ended up just experiencing deep loneliness. And that was the driver. Like of all the things I suffered, the fear, the discouragement, the depression, the hunger, loneliness was the worst, man. It was brutal. So, Christmas Eve and Christmas and New Year's and my birthday, just alone, 16 years old, turned 17. It was a driving force. I became absolutely determined to find out how to be happy and successful, right? How to make sure I have phenomenal relationships, that this never happens again in my life or for my kids. And like, how do I figure this out? So I started reading voraciously, interviewing people, observing, questioning, experimenting, just anything I could do to get my hands on truth, like what actually works. Because what I had seen for all those years was what didn't work. And I literally make a list, brother. I had a list, and it started with like what not to do. I just had this one sheet of paper. I started writing those things down. Like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do this. And then finally I got like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I want to be this kind of man and this kind of father. And I'm gonna marry someone like this. And I started getting clear about what I wanted in life. And then started researching essentially how to figure it out. And that voracious search for the answers has led to this genuinely extraordinary life that we have now. Like my wife and I just celebrated our 24th anniversary out on the Azore Islands, these little islands out in the Atlantic, just last week. And amazing, 24 years of a genuinely phenomenal marriage, 7 amazing kids we have a great relationship with, and they have a great relationship with each other. And we're living our unique dream, which is traveling all over the world together as a family.
When was the last time you were lonely?
Uh, 17. Like, I'm like, I am not doing this anymore. I had little windows of loneliness, right, where I was trying to make friends and trying to date girls and trying to figure out life here and there, those little pockets. But I worked on myself so hard, brother. And this is critical. This is important. I committed to work harder on myself than on anything else. And I
Mm,
realized that nothing in my life would get better until I got better. And I
yeah,
realized that I was the factor. So I worked so hard on myself, eliminating my weaknesses and my insecurities and my fears and my doubts and my lack of skills. So when I met Rachel, I was 23 and well, I was actually 22. We got married when I was 23. I was like, it's go time. I am all in. I will be the best version of myself and for
yeah.
her and for our kids. And so, man, since I met her, like, it's been absolutely amazing. And of course, we've had crazy hard times, like
Oh,
crazy
yeah.
hard times, but it's been amazing.
Yeah, and I could just tell in that brief pause, you look down and there's just a pause and a smile, since I've met her. And I could hear the silence, the loudness of that silence, bro. And it's fantastic. What were a couple items on that do not do list? I love that you said don't do this list before the to do list. For anybody
Yeah,
that's watching, cultivating their own future, what were a few of those items on the do not do list?
yeah, and I have my clients do the same thing, and when people are like, "Hey, what's the key to success and happiness and being a formidable family man?" Right, getting the whole package. I was like, "You've got to get a clear list of what you want, and the easiest place to start is with what you don't want." So for me, for sure on the don't do list, um, was anger, angry outbursts, tempers, and I had a raging temper, bro. It was bad. I got in a lot of fights when I was a kid and a teen.
Yeah.
Um, and the anger didn't work, and I'd seen that. I'd seen domestic violence in the rough neighborhoods where I was living in as a teen, and I saw it, through the marriages my mom went through, and among our siblings, we just fought like crazy. I was like, man, this isn't it. The crazy fighting, the angry outbursts, that's not it. Another thing that was on there was being phony, being fake, being insincere. I'd seen a lot of that and the dishonesty. I thought, no, that'll destroy a marriage so fast. And then I guess the third one, I could go on and on because there was a long
Uh-oh.
list. I think everybody has a long list of like, don't do this. But I saw that addiction, brother. Addiction destroys men and marriages
Uh-huh.
and families. But I'd say those are some of the top three.
Yeah, the don't do's greatest hits, if you would, that we should
Hmm.
all pay close attention to, avoid at all costs, if we can. Greg, I'd love for you to take us back to you mentioned 16 years old. Take us back to that point of just the perfect storm that led to you leaving home. The decisions I know you mentioned, uh, voracious reading and pursuing the life that you didn't want, but take us to that 16-year-old Greg. What was going on in the world and what immediately followed that decision to leave home?
Yeah, I I guess I didn't get along with my stepdad. I didn't like the kind of the injustices. I guess I was hungry for more, but I wouldn't have articulated it like that. I wanted something better. And so I thought, I'm done. And I want my freedom, right? I think we all just fight for freedom. I think it's in us as men. Like, I will be free. And
Yeah.
so I roll out, obviously, with unrealistic dreams about what it would be like. I had no idea how hard it would be, and it was brutal, man. It was brutal. And society's set up where you really can't do anything unless you're minimum 18, and so just trying to figure this out and struggling so hard to get enough money. I remember just fighting just to get enough money to buy another package of ramen noodles. It was like for 25 cents or Yeah, I found the discount pork and beans. Nobody eats that crap on purpose. It's disgusting. I just that's what I was eating, and it was tough, man. But I remember it was Christmas Eve, sitting by myself, rough part of town, in this tiny little shack. It was so cold I could see my breath. And I sat there by myself. No Christmas fire, no Christmas dinner, no family, nothing. I sat there by myself. And so I read. I read from the scriptures, from the good book. I prayed. It was a special night, man. I really felt the love of God that night. It
Mhm.
it was kind of a sacred suffering. Really felt just the love of God and connected there, and it solidified it. It was almost like this deep commitment, like, "This changes. I will become the man I need to become to create the life I need to create. To be the best husband I can be, the best father I can be, the best provider and protector. I'm gonna do something here to make this better. I'm not gonna stay where I am."
Yeah. And that's where you started building the foundation into your views of that leadership and
Yep.
the family that you hope to build to now, um, what we would call a formidable family man, right?
Mhm.
What would you define as a formidable family man today? What was discovered or what was the seed that was planted that frigid night?
Yeah. The the discovery obviously took years, decades, and then dozens of countries. We travel all over the world, so I've personally traveled, I don't know, some 70 countries ish. We've taken the kids to around 60 countries. Like, we've traveled for 18 years. We've been just wandering all over this planet, serving, loving, learning. It's been amazing. And I started reading voraciously, and I've averaged a book a week for over 2.5 decades, like
Wow.
25 years, a book a week. Like, I haven't let up, man. I'm learning and sharing and learning and sharing, learning and sharing. And as as I as I put it all together, I realized that men need to be tough and tender. We need to be, as you know, there's a phrase going around. It's like, be hard to kill and easy to love.
Mm.
And we need to be strong and we need to be sensitive. And in a very real way, men need to be dangerous, formidable, capable of real violence to protect against evil. Because there's some very, very evil stuff out there. And I've been able to fight against it and been able to participate in humanitarian efforts, um, against real malice and real suffering. I guess because I suffered, like, I have this
Yeah.
big heart to get all over the world and help people who are suffering. And so men need to be capable and competent. We need to be assets instead of liabilities. Like, too many
Mm.
men become weak and soft because they want comfort and convenience over anything else. And then we become a liability, man. Other people have to take care of us. And I just refuse to live that way. I want to be an asset. Wherever I go,
Yeah.
whatever I do, I'm an asset. Like, I show up, I'm adding value, not taking away at all. And what I
Mhm.
saw was so many men, even good men, they weren't capable. They weren't formidable. They weren't all in as their best self. So, I mean, we need to. I put together what I call the triple trifecta. So
Yeah.
I thought about this for a long time, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this. I got to piece together this formula. Like, what is it that makes a man? It's just, you do this, you're guaranteed to win. And essentially, a trifecta is three things that work together to win. And so it was fitness, family, and finances. And then under each of those, there's three more. So it's the triple trifecta. So under fitness, it's mind, body, and spirit. So we have to be fit mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Under family, it was marriage, fatherhood, and family legacy. And then under finances, it's income, of course, your spending, where your money goes, and investments. I'm like, man, if you take those 9 things and you optimize and master those things, you win as a man.
Yeah. Why do you think you mentioned men being weak or not capable? Why do you think so many men are struggling, whether it's with the clarity and direction in life, and if it's struggling in being an asset themselves? What do you think so many men are missing these days?
I think it's, mostly it's good men that want to level up, but we are distracted. Like we live in the age of distraction. It is crazy, and we're overwhelmed with entertainment. There's literally an unending stream of visual trash. And so we're just entertaining ourselves to death. So it's garbage food, garbage media, this comfortable life, and really a social structure that's kind of been set up of like, nah, take it easy, bro. Like, go easy. And people even say that, hey, take it easy. Whenever anyone says that to me, like, yeah, go see you take it easy. I'm like, whoa, I don't take anything easy. What are you talking about? I'm not, no, there's no easy around here. I'm going after adventure. I'm going after fulfillment. I'm going after excitement and success. I'm not looking to be comfortable. And like, don't get me wrong, I love comforts. I love luxury. I love taking my wife and staying at the best hotels and the going to the coolest places. But I take a cold shower every day. I grind when I work out hard. And we train. My family and I, we train hard so that we can be assets, so that we're capable and ready when some disaster comes and people need help, that we can be there and be helpful instead of, wishing I could help, but not capable of actually helping.
Yeah, like the arm stretched out, like I
Yep.
wish I could do something, but I can't.
Exactly.
and it, and I heard this concept. I forgot where I've heard it from. And if anyone does know, please leave that in the comments below or message us. But they were saying a lot of people they 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 never live higher than a 7 because they
Mm.
refuse to experience discomfort lower than a 4.
Mhm.
Right? So we're just in that range, 2 above 5 or 1 below 5, it's we just have 4, 5, 6, or 7 is our life, and we
Yep.
just stay in that little middle ground. But for those that can embrace the 3s and the 2s of life, maybe even a 1 here and there, well, those are the ones who get to experience the 8s and the 9s and the 10s, right? Those are the ones
Absolutely.
that get that highness because we've embraced that lowness. And I'm gonna stop there because I feel like I said something that resonated with you, and I'll let you take that thought even further, man. If iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. But if you're a man and you're alone or listening to this, then who sharpens you? What's going on, guys? Ted Phaeton here, host of the Modern Man podcast, also founder of the Noble Knights Mastermind Group. And I'm just out here encouraging you to find your circle. Maybe you're on a personal growth journey and nobody around you understands the new mentality that you're possessing. That's okay. You can find an online community that will pour into you, will navigate your goals and navigate your obstacles, share their experiences, resources, and more. Join the Noble Knights Mastermind Group and try us out for free to tap into a community of men helping each other scale up and reach their goals. Check out themodernmanpodcast.com.
Well, as soon as you said middle, right? We're operating in the middle. That's average. That's mediocre. That's okay. And so what we're doing is we're settling for an okay life. We're settling into our own little pit of mediocrity of just being in the middle instead of being like our best selves, maximizing our potential. And this isn't some elitism. I think every man knows this. They know they have a best self. They know they're capable of more. But anytime we settle for less than our best, man, it tears us up. It just tears us up inside. And we're capable of so much more. And I love what you're saying. There's we have to be willing to embrace the suffering, embrace the suck, embrace the difficulty and the challenge, and actually choose it. Like when it comes along, okay, but I would rather choose it. Like I'm purposely going out and doing insanely hard things so that when life throws hard things at me, I'm like, I got this. Like I do hard things all the time. I've done way harder things than this. Let's go. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're choosing those pain points and leading your kids there effectively, joyfully, showing them how to choose challenge. So like last year we took our my teenagers and we went and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. That's tough, brother.
Let's go. Yeah.
That is hard. And to see your teenagers just dig in and get gritty to get up on that mountain, it's amazing.
Mm.
It's absolutely
And
amazing. So,
what
yeah,
an
we lean
experience
into
they'll
stuff like
take,
that. Mhm.
and they'll take that experience even further, knowing that for the rest of their lives, like, yeah, I climbed that mountain. I conquered that
Exactly.
mountain.
Yep.
Eh, there's a fun game I play with myself, Greg. Something tells me you might resonate, appreciate, or even instigate on this a little bit more. But whether it's my ice barrel, a cold plunge, or going to the gym, I like to check my heart rate or even pause for a second, not procrastinate, but pause. Because something I've told a client before was I said, pay close attention before you do something that you anticipate being hard. I try and
Mhm.
sit in that moment right before doing it just a little bit because I believe the comfort in that moment is what helps to further reduce the time of the idea and the action, right? If I decide I need to do something, I accept reality and I need to do something that's gonna be less than enjoyable. Well, if I embrace that moment before indulging it, I'm faster to lean into it. I'm faster to
Mhm.
embrace it. I become comfortable with it. Kind of like that Bane, like, oh, you were trained in the darkness. I was born in the darkness. Like I want to
Mhm.
be comfortable with that darkness because when leaning into those difficult things, it's not as daunting. It's not as
Mhm.
intimidating because there's been this habit made of embracing that. And you mentioned willingly taking it on, right? The willingness to suffer is also what helps expand us. It expands our whole selves, our whole beings as we embrace that growth and we become better men for our spouses, our kids, those that depend on us. How has the work you put in between the ages of 16 to 22 prepared you for marrying your wife at 23 and the lives you were able to build for that? How did that prepare you to step into your marriage as your full self, as a leader, and then continue to grow and lead your family moving forward?
Yeah. Cool. I decided to like what I call it now. I didn't call it this then, but I teach it now. I'm like, hey, just I eat pressure for breakfast. Right. A lot of people like, oh, it's so stressful. There's so much pressure. I can't handle it. I say, hey, wait, flip that mindset. Just tell yourself, like, dude, I eat pressure for breakfast and a little extra for dessert. Let's go. And we start leaning into the pressure and embracing it. And we level up to it. It's like, oh, this is gonna be hard. Bring it on. Let's go. I can do hard things. And I remember having to make that mental switch. Because for a while I'm like, I wanted life to be easy. I would pray that life would be easy. I would get all worked up and afraid that something bad was gonna happen. It would be struggle, it would be hard. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Like, why am I why am I wanting everything to be easy? That just makes weak men. Like, let's embrace challenge. Let's eat pressure for breakfast. And so I started leaning into that more and more. Like, let's do challenges. So I got into martial arts, which is a great place to do it. I got into real serious fitness. Later on, I did triathlons and adventure races, and I mean all kinds of tough stuff. You're just like, let's get in this and get gritty because you gain so much, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually and socially from pushing your own limits. So what you do is you're stretching yourself outwards, you're literally forcing yourself to become more capable, to be bigger. So if I stretch my currently limited capacity and I force it out, then I have a bigger container. I'm more capable. I can handle more. I can do more. And so I started facing that and pushing it, getting stronger and better and clearer. And then as you're doing this, and here's the gold, brother. This is the absolute gold. As you try to level up, your weaknesses are exposed. And then
Yeah.
you have a moment of decision. What do I do about this? It's standing in my way. It is an obstacle. This is keeping me from being a better man. Am I going to back away from it or am I going to face it head on? And so it's looking into the abyss, right? It's looking into the void. It's terrifying. It's having the courage and excuse the language, but just having the balls to just look it in the face like a man and say, this is a problem and I'm going to face it. I'm not going to look away from it. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to pretend that it's not there. I'm not going to, expect others to deal with it because it's my problem. I'm going to face this and I'm going to fix it. And we have to have that kind of courage as men to face our challenges and our obstacles and chase our dreams. So one of those things that came up, brother, was my temper.
Mm.
Raging like crazy temper, punching holes in walls, picking fights. Like it was bad. It was embarrassing. It was bad. And everyone just told me, "Oh, have the redheaded temper." They're all redheads have tempers, and I just believed it. Like somehow my hair color had anything to do with my temper. It was ridiculous, but I believed it. And I realized I was in like 19, 20, 21. And I was like, "Nah, this ends now." Like I don't even know my wife yet, but if I don't drop this, it will ruin my marriage and my life. And as I was trying to level up, trying to do new things, the temper kept coming up. So it was one of those things that it was exposed as I was embracing more responsibility and taking on bigger challenges. The temper kept coming up. So I
Mhm.
remember the night I was like, I'm done, man. I'm done. I'm done getting angry. I'm done being explosive. I'm done getting upset over little things because only small people get bothered by small things.
Mm.
So I made this commitment. I wrote it down. I told God, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with my temper. I'm done being angry. That's it. It was a Sunday night. The next morning, I went out. Somebody busted out my car windows, stole my stereo, just trashed my car. And I was like, oh, man, talk about that was less than 12 hours. There's the test. And I remember
Greg,
my commitment. I was like,
I
okay,
get
wait,
to see
I said I wasn't
God.
getting angry. Yeah,
How
right.
do you
You're
feel
like,
now? Just
it's like, it's like God and his universe, like, let's see if you're really committed to this. And so I remembered, luckily, I could have forgotten and gone crazy. I went out and like just took a couple deep breaths. I'm like, hey, I said I'm not gonna get angry. I'm not gonna get angry. It's just a window, it's just a stereo. And I kept it, bro. And I felt so amazing that I made a commitment and kept it. Like, this is the best. So I just called my insurance. They replaced the window, replaced the stereo. 1 week later, I went out, the other window was busted out, and the new stereo was gone. And I was like, okay, and I kept my cool. I didn't get angry. And I decided I'm not getting a radio anymore. I'm gonna like listen to books on tape. This was back when I was doing books and CDs, and I'm like, I'm just gonna
yeah.
no more radio, man. I'm just gonna start listening to books.
Books
And
on tape.
but that was it, bro. That was the beginning of like a real test. And I was like, I'm done. And so that one thing, leaving my anger behind and dropping all the crap that I was carrying with me, all the baggage, all the issues, all the injuries, all the bitterness and the poison. I left it all behind. Because bitterness, here's a quote. Bitterness is a poison that you swallow, hoping your enemies will die.
Mm. Mhm.
And I realized that. I was like, man, it's just me. I'm just poisoning myself with all this anger. I got to learn to forgive and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. What other non-negotiables, do you live with daily that keep you aligned in business, fatherhood, and marriage? Or what are some of those daily, like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Either whether it's the to dos or the not to dos, what are the
Yeah.
non-negotiables each day that help keep you aligned, brother?
Yeah. I live by this. And I have since I was 18. Like I set up some non-negotiables and I've stuck to them since I was 19. Like that's a
Yeah.
game changer. So for me, every day I'm going to address my mind, body, and spirit. So I'm going to read from a great book every single day. I tell people, I'm like, man, miss a meal if you have to, like skip a meal, but do not miss reading from a great book because that will bless your life so much. It'll transform your life. I've read so many books that literally changed my life. In fact, there were a couple of good books that were so good. I read from them every single day for over 2 years. I didn't miss because I knew I had to get that through me. Like the goal isn't to get through the book, it's to get the book through you.
Mm.
And so when it changed me, like, and I absorbed it. So anyone listening, like, if you come across a book that's life changing, you keep reading that thing until you know it backwards and forwards until it becomes you and you become it. And like, there's this oneness. Once it's yours, you've mastered it, it'll change you. So read from a great book every day. I spend time praying, meditating, reading, reading from sacred text. Spend some time with God. Spend some time in nature, outside. Like address the soul, because we're all spiritual beings. Even if people don't believe in God, we're all spiritual beings. and you got to address the spirit. And then I work out hard, bro. And it's only I got 7 kids, so I can't spend 2 hours in the gym, right? So I
Yeah.
got my workouts down to like 30, 40 minutes. But when I'm in there, I'm going and I'm going
Nice.
hard. So by the time most people wake up and get going, I've already addressed my mind, body, and spirit, and I'm in a good spot.
Mm. Man, I love that. As when my daughter was born, I mean, I'm a traditional weightlifter kind of background guy. We go in the gym. I'd be in there an hour and a half, maybe
Mhm.
2 hours,
Yep.
getting the whole regimen in. Can't do that anymore, but
Yep.
now I'm down to the 35, 40 minutes, and my workouts have looked a little different, more compound lifts.
Same.
I'm doing cleans and jerks and more functional fitness that I never did
Yep.
before. You
Same.
mentioned martial arts. I took up Muay Thai.
Yeah.
I did Muay Thai. They're trying to get me to BJJ. I'm gonna get there eventually. Actually, I don't know if you can see my lip is a
All
little
busted
cut
up.
up, a
That's
little
good.
busted up. I caught a
Yep.
knee to the face last week, but
Good. It's exactly how it's supposed to be, brother. As dads, we're supposed to be coming home with dings all over the face. Like, what's going on? I'm training. I'm
yeah,
training to be a man.
that's exactly. You know what? It's funny because my wife did look at me after I came home. She says, "Why are you doing this, baby?"
Yep.
And I just said, "Well, I just because I have to."
Yep.
And I love it. I enjoy it, man, and it's been a great journey in all those areas. I love those non-negotiables because I do believe we do need that intentionality in life. We do need that direction in life.
Yep.
It's something that keeps us going. I call mine a daily discipline. I have a planner I go through with a daily discipline. I tap into gratitude and things like that, and it helps me move the needle forward. Um, Being someone who's coached a lot of men and worked with men, what is it that if you had, let's say, 5 minutes, you sat down with a guy, y all you know is where he is, he wants to get farther, he's struggling. Um, with the experience that you've worked with so many different men, what would you feel most confident pouring into him for those 5 minutes that if he changes this, if he focuses on this, if he gets this dialed in, everything else can fall into place. Maybe not perfectly, but this is the first number one step. This is the first area in life. This is the first critical step I would focus on to take you from A to B. What would that conversation sound like?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one.
Oh,
I
sorry,
have an
man.
answer. I have an answer, but let me give the big picture and then come back
Yeah.
to that first one. The big picture is what I now call holistic optimization or whole life optimization. The reality is if we're going to be great husbands, fathers, providers, protectors, leaders, businessmen, hands down, no exceptions, we have to become really good at several things. It can't just be one or two things. If I'm a one trick pony, even if I'm really really good at that, the other areas of my life are going to suffer. If I'm going to be an amazing husband, I've got to get good at several things. If I'm going to be a world class dad, I have to be really good at several things. That's just the reality. That's the uncomfortable truth. I can't pick 2 or 3 things and say, "Well, I'm only good at this and I'm not good at those other things, so I guess just deal with it. That's just the way I am." That's a cop out. It's playing the victim. That's being a little boy. Little boys say, "I'm only good at a couple things. This is what you got. Take me as I am." That's a bunch of crap, right? It really is. It's an uncomfortable truth, but it really is like, "No, dude, you have to keep leveling up. You have to overcome your weaknesses." So the big picture is whole life optimization. You got to get all the important pieces totally dialed in. And usually it's a 1 to 2% adjustment. You make these little tweaks, and all of a sudden, like, man, everything is easier and better. Everything. But we'll go back to the one thing, like you asked. Um, they did this study, and they took lots and lots of people, and they divided them into groups. And they took the group and they said, "We want you to work on this habit. We want this group to work on this habit." And they went through maybe 10, 12 different habits. And they said, "We're just going to watch you and see how you do in this habit." Well, that's not what they were looking for. They didn't tell any of the participants what they were looking for. They just told them they were tracking that habit. What the researchers were looking for, they wanted to know which habit naturally led to improvements in all other habits. They want to know, is there one big domino? Is there
Yeah.
one thing that if they do, it naturally helps everything else go better in life? But none of the participants knew that. So they just watched them for weeks and weeks and weeks and said, we're just monitoring. You do this thing, you do that. Well, they found one. It was a clear winner by far. They found if people do this one thing, it has the most positive effect on all the other habits in their lives. And of course, it was physical fitness and taking care of our bodies, right? Because the body is the vehicle for everything you do, from sleep to sex to watching the sunset. Everything we do through our body, even thinking, even mental work is being done through the vehicle of the body. And if the body's in a weak condition, the mind is weaker than it could be. So if we get our bodies right, brother, and that's holistic, get the whole body crazy healthy, food, sleep, fitness, we get that thing dialed in, then everything else we do is better because our vehicle's better. And we only get
Mm.
one vehicle, man. This is it. You get one shot, and everything you're doing is in this vehicle. So that's the first thing I say. It's like, get your body right.
Yeah, I love that, and we've said before where fitness is a gateway drug to personal development.
Yeah.
Once you understand that approach to fitness, sticking with something long and being consistent, having the plan, and then seeing it come into fruition, you then automatically that trigger goes off of, wait, I can control the outcome in this arena. What other area of life can I control the outcome in?
Exactly.
It's gangbusters from there.
Yes,
I love
exactly.
it. Um, I want to talk about the podcast you and your wife co-host together. And you've taken on your kids to 60 plus countries, as you mentioned. How has traveling, doing the podcast, really living a life with your family integrated in it, um, provided you joy and peace? Because we've mentioned a lot on this podcast, for a lot of men, the definition of success is a title, an accolade, a house or cars, but rarely do we talk about the integration of our family with the lives that we live. And as someone who's just about 12 months and 3 weeks into this journey of fatherhood, I can honestly say, my home is my peaceful place.
Mhm.
My peace is with my family. I could even, I have the little rumblings of the baby in the background and my wife and everything. And after this, I'm
Amazing.
gonna go spend some family time. But how can we not only set that up, but how has that enhanced your joy and your experience of success?
Yeah. It's for me, brother, it's everything. It is everything. And I mean that. Like we say that, we're like, oh, family's the most important, or my family's my priority. But then we act differently. We set up our habits differently. So for me, I do this thing I call the silent film test. Like if your life were a silent film and others were watching, completely, you can't say anything. They can't hear anything you're saying. All they can do is see your actions and your habits. What would they say are your priorities? Where do you spend your time and your attention? Like, is it obvious? Would it hold, if it were a silent film, would it hold up in court that your family is the most important thing in your life? That's huge, man. And I want to live that way. And I do live that way. And so I said, you know what, this my wife's going to be the most important person, and together we're into our family, and so we're going to create our entire life around that, and that's the family dynamics and the family culture and the family legacy, like a generational legacy. I'm constantly thinking about my grandkids and great grandkids that I don't have. I'm like, this, we're changing things, we're doing life differently, and so we created systems and structures and routines to include our family. Like we've been doing family workouts since we adopted our first. We've been speaking different languages, taking them out to serve in developing countries and taking them to some of the richest places on the planet. There's rich and poor and in between, and the coolest places and the worst places, and people who are suffering and people who are happy. We're just taking them everywhere, and we're practicing what we preach and having our kids there with us in every part of it, even in our business. Because you know this already. If if we don't live the message, then we suck as the messenger. It's
Mhm.
bad. And no wonder our kids don't want to listen. They're like, you're full of crap. And so we have to live it. We have the kids there. And so they just bring us so much joy and so much happiness to include them in every part of our life. And we wanted location independent income. We wanted to work from home. We wanted to work together. So, I mean, for the last, I don't know, 12 to 15 years, we have every meal together. We adventure together, travel together, work out together, study together. It's amazing. I realize it's not for everybody, but man, we crazy love it and we have just great relationships and we're living our unique dream life.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, and that's the point right there. The last thing you said, your unique dream life is, it's on us to create what that looks like, and then take
Mhm.
the actions to cultivate it, create it, and then experience it,
Exactly.
and echo that even further. What advice would you give to men who want to live more intentional and be more connected with their wives and their children? So
Yeah.
to the husbands and fathers that are listening, what advice would you give them to build that?
The first thing is to I was gonna say the first thing is to lean in, right? To go all in.
苦手は
We've
最初
got
は
to kind
苦
of
い。
flip the switch a little
甘
bit
い。
and be more
冷て
engaged.
い。
Nothing.
うん。
There's
そうか。
literally
うん。
nothing that can make up for a lack of presence. So put the phone away, you know, throw away your TV if you have to. That's probably one of the best things to do. Just throw away your TV. It's just get rid of that sucker and lean into your family. Like really put your family first. Like we say family first, and then we spend all this time watching the games, the sports, and I love sports. I love all this stuff. I'm like, no, family first. And my family's the most important. My kids are the most important. Then we spend hours staring at our phones, like with all these stupidities. Like, get rid of that crap. Go all into your family. But the reason I hesitated on like the all in piece, because I think clarity is so important because when we lack clarity, it's hard to go all in. It's hard to move forward. It's hard to have meaning and purpose. It's hard to know what to do because we're not clear about what it is we exactly want. Right? Like let this sink in, fellas. You cannot hit a target that you don't have, and you cannot hit a target you can't see. So if I'm telling you and I are telling men like, "Hey, go for it," and they're like, "Where? What?" Like they don't have targets. And so we have to have this noble ideal. We have to have this big target that's so big it excites us and scares us. So I
Mm.
came up with an acronym because everyone's heard of SMART goals, but I came up with an acronym for dumb goals. That they're demanding, unrealistic, meaningful, and bold. So demanding, unrealistic, meaningful, and bold. We need some dumb goals. And we need clarity like what is it that really truly matters to me and then go after that thing. And figure it out because a lot of us, and I did this too, and you do this too. We all do it. It's like, well, yeah, of course I want that, but I don't know how. Or as soon as you get going, you bump up against this huge obstacle, and you're like, well, now what? I was going to do that. I was going to change my family dynamics. I was going to change my career, but now this huge obstacle's in the way. Now what? And I remember reading this ancient quote years ago. And so I put it in my office. I read it every single day, multiple times a day. I just internalized it until it was mine. It says, I will either find a way or I will make one. And that became my commitment. I will either find a way or I will make one. And when we get clear about a real target that really matters, and then I make that commitment to myself, I'll either find a way or I'll make one, it's going to happen.
Amen to that, brother. And one of the reasons or one of the answers to, "Oh, well, I don't know how," is finding someone that's already done it, someone who's already
Yes.
gotten there, and asking them, just like a pure
Yes.
like, "Hey, bro, how'd you do it?" And they're very, very willing to share, which is the perfect opportunity for me to ask for anyone who has listened to this episode, Greg, who is loving what you're talking about, loving the energy, who wants to learn more, get more, or follow some of
Well,
what you're doing. What are some of the best resources, links, and destinations for them to refer to?
yeah, I love it, man. So my wife and I have the podcast called the Extraordinary Family Life Podcast. I also do a podcast called the Formidable Family Man Podcast. And then, I have formidablefamilyman.com. Just have resources on there and tons of tools. strategies, systems, all kinds of free resources and paid resources. Just because this is what I do. I'm with you, brother. I live for this. I wake up every day. I'm like, yeah, how can I help some more men be
Yeah.
formidable, be family men, lean in and solve all those problems, right? Because I went through that. I had to solve. And here's the good news. Like if I can go from where I was to where I am and where I'm going, dude, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. It's just about finding the right tools and strategies, the right levers, the right tactics. And if you put the tactics in, you're like, bro, that was way easier than I thought. I was making it hard on myself. And so you're exactly right. Like I created this full masterclass with all the tools and strategies, everything I've learned with helping. I can be able to work with thousands of men across 5 continents. Like
Yeah.
this stuff just works and anybody can do it.
I love that. And I'll have the links in the show notes for people to just hit that link and get to the destinations, link up with you. And before I let you go, I have one last question. It's the heaviest, which is why I typically save it for last. But what is something you've seen or something that's happened to you that shapes the way you view the world as a man?
Ooh.
I know, I know.
Yeah, that one's big. Um well, it's big for me. Here's why. Because like I decided to truly live, not just merely exist. Not just go along, checking the boxes, kind of a humdrum existence. I decided to truly live all in. And because of that, God and his universe conspire in our favor to make things happen and bring us to experiences that just blow your mind. Like my wife's writing a book, I'm writing a book, like, and I try to share my stories on our podcast because brother, we've had so many experiences that just literally blow your mind. Like if I hadn't have lived them, I'd be like, no way, man, that's hard to believe. Like the kind of things that have happened, stuff that would be so random or coincidental if it wasn't divinely orchestrated, where I've just happened to be in the right place at the right time multiple times to literally save lives, to rescue people and carry them off mountains after a rock slide or a fall off a cliff, and to like be it just at the right place at the right time to step in and be an asset to make a difference. And man, I've seen the most amazing things in the world, and I've seen some of the saddest things in the world. Dozens and dozens of these experiences that blow your mind. But I guess I'll pick one early on that was this catalyst for me. I was on my way to university. I was a newlywed, and I stopped at the stoplight just a few blocks down from the university, and this guy runs a red light in front of me and just smashes into this car, this lady, and she was seriously hurt. And I jumped out and I run over there to try to help. I had a little first aid kit in the car, and I'd taken some first aid classes or whatever. And I run over there, and this other gentleman had gotten there and opened the door, and he was with her. And I said, "Hey, did you start treating her?" And he turns and looks at me with this face I'll never forget. Just terror and disappointment and fear. And he just looks at me. He was holding her hand, and he just looks at me. He says, "I have no idea what to do." And dude, it was sickening and powerful to be the first one on the scene, to have the opportunity to help, but not have any idea what to do. And that experience for me was a massive catalyst for me to learn languages. So like I committed to become fluent in a new language every 5 years, right? So I'm speaking multiple languages because I can help people. You can't help people very much if you can't speak their language. And so I've been able to help so many people and reach and teach and serve so many people because I speak other languages. And then I trained myself. Well, I didn't train myself. I went and got training in medical emergency training, like legit, real in an emergency. What do you do when there's blood coming out and people are busted up and you're in the wilderness or in an austere environment in some developing country. What do you do? And I've been able to use that so many times. I'm like, well, what about protecting people or protecting yourself? Let's get some training. Let's learn how to defend ourselves. Let's learn how to protect others. And I've been able to do that. And they're like, what about solving this problem, solving that problem? And so I just committed to become a problem solver.
Mhm.
And that catalyst, brother, drove me to find answers. So I can help my wife, I can help my kids, I can help strangers. I can help the brotherhood that I'm leading. And so that right there is like that shaped my worldview and my life experience. Like I'm going to become an asset. I'm going to become a formidable family man and be capable enough to lead my own family and take my whole family to help the world be a better place.
Man. High performance coach, international speaker, husband, and father of 7 who's redefining what it means to be a leader, father, and modern man. Greg Denning on the podcast. Thank you so much for being on,
Thank you,
brother.
brother. What a joy.
It's been a pleasure having you on and an honor. And I'm going to share a few of the gems that you said along the way because I know a lot of folks are either working out, cleaning, or driving while listening. Work harder on myself than anything else. That's something you said very early on. Something I think we all should take that message home from this podcast. We need to work harder on ourselves than anything else because it's the people who rely on us who are going to get the benefit from it. Those who love us and those who we love that will get the benefit from it as well. Clear list of what you want and what you don't want. I've
Mhm.
said before the GPS in life. You might know where you're going, but if you don't embrace where you're at, you still can't get there. The GPS needs 2 locations to properly navigate you from A to B. Fitness, family, finances. And let me know if I get these 9 wrong, but the fitness is the mind, body, and the spirit. The family is the marriage, fatherhood, and legacy. The finances, the income, the spending, and the investments.
Yep.
Now, I'm not looking to be comfortable. Choose challenge. When you choose challenge, you're better equipped to embrace the challenges that show up that the world chooses for you. I eat pressure for breakfast, that mentality making you more of a monster. Um, this ends now. Something Greg said a few times throughout the episode that I've picked up on is when he makes the decision, it's final, it's done, it's finite. There's no negotiating, there's no going back on it. The decision's is made. Are you treating your decisions like that? Instead
Mhm.
of making sure that you made the right decision, are you just making the decision right, sticking to it? Non-negotiables, the mind, body, spirit. What are your non-negotiables that keep you aligned? Get a book in you. You might miss a meal or two, but make sure you get a book in you. And then keep in mind the silent film test. If someone were to watch a silent film of your life, would they have a clear understanding of your priorities? And if they don't, maybe because you're not clear on those priorities yourself. And then set some dumb goals, demanding, unrealistic, meaningful, and bold, and decide to truly live. And if ever you find yourself in a situation where you are the first on scene, the first to help, the first in a situation around you that you can pour into, may you find yourself as an asset and not a
Mhm.
liability and not saying the words, I have no idea what to do. Guys, thank you as always. I'm going to ask that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, give Greg a follow if you aren't doing so already. Make sure to hit that link in the show notes to find his socials as well. Leave us a rating to let us know how we're doing. It's the best compliment you can give us, and share this with someone else you know can get value from it as well. We appreciate you guys making it to the end. And as we always say, everybody wants the sunshine, but they don't want the rain. But you can't get the pleasure without first the pain. Let's grow.